So when you ask, why did you do that? Well, now you know. Well, now you know, we just thought it would be fun. Isn't that a crazy fucking idea? We just thought it would be neat. And yeah, we did see there was obvious value in showing people on YouTube, hey, here are the designers of this game playing their game. But in general, I think that kind of live play phenomenon, I think there is has an incredibly narrow audience. So I think it's going to be mostly useful in terms of just seeing all the cool stuff you can do with Draw Steel, and people who are like, I understand on paper how this shit works, but I want to kind of see it. I want to see it. Okay, well, here you go. And we would try to make a point, and we made we talked about the fact that since we were recording it, not streaming it, we could do B-roll, not literally B-roll. We could do like inserts. We could cut into the video and have somebody like a designer say, "Let me explain to you how this rule works," because everybody at the table knows because we all worked on this game, but you don't. But we did. Dale did a pretty good job of keeping us on our toes of saying, "Hey, let's explain to the audience how this weird thing works." Like, "Oh yeah, good idea." Well, I'm definitely, if you're around, Mark, I am definitely going to run Draw Steel for you at some point this year. But that's up to your availability. I'm committed. I want to run this for all my friends. So yeah, I don't know how watchable it'll be. I'm not principally concerned with that. I was principally concerned with just having fun. So everybody else had custom Titancraft minis made. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I think it's cool that you guys did. I think their minis are really cool. And the folks at Titancraft helped kind of kit bash some of them together. The actual the normal everyday stock Titancraft kit bashing features and posability, I think are amazing. But I like the idea of, I'm going to play this like I'm a regular player. I'm going to grab a mini I've got. So I was playing a Revenant. I was playing a Revenant human. And I just went and got one of my zombie minis. And he's got a little zombie with a sword and a little metal hat. And that's it. I was like, yep, that's my dude. That's my guy. And I liked it. It was fun. Oh, you're going to Gen Con? I was thinking about maybe, yeah, I got to be careful. I was thinking about maybe going to Gen Con, but the reason I didn't go last year was because a whole bunch of people thought I was going. I didn't say I was going. We said MCDM was going, and they assumed that meant I was going, but I wasn't going. And so, and then when people are like, wait a minute, I thought you were going to be at show. How come you didn't go to Gen Con? I could link them to tweets of people saying, Matt, where are you? We're looking for you. These are strangers. And I'd be like, that's why I'm not fucking going. Are you kidding? Jesus Christ. So going without telling anybody is on the table, but we'll see. It was Pablo Agurcia art. It was James. James was running the Delian Tomb expanded. We don't know what we're going to call it ultimately. We'll come up with a clever name for it. Dale suggested the Delian Tomb, TWOMB, because it's basically the Delian Tomb as you know it, with a lot more dope shit around it. Including a ruined keep overrun by goblins and stuff like that. It was really, James did a really, really good job. Yeah, exactly. Thombone did a really good job of concatenating the adventure down to something that, even though we were skipping past huge chunks of content, it didn't feel like that. It felt like this was the adventure. But in point of fact, we were skipping huge chunks of content. And there was a moment where we had a respite. We took a respite. We were full of victories, but we didn't have enough. The problem was we didn't have a conduit. And it was really fun because we had this. We didn't have a conduit, but we had a tactician and a sensor. And both of us had ways of healing the party apart from them using the catch breath maneuver. And that was neat. It was really cool. That we still had a lot of healing, but it was just a lot more circumstantial and tactical, and we had to be careful with it. But it meant that we were draining, especially with my ability to use my recoveries to heal you. The tactician and I were going through our recoveries really fast. So when you looked around the table, it was like, oh, I've still got 4 recoveries. I've still got 5 recoveries. I'm like, yeah. But the reason you still have all those recoveries is because I've been using mine to keep you alive, and you using yours to keep you alive is a lot trickier because it means you don't get to use your maneuver. Or rather, you are using your maneuver for that reason. And so we decided to take a respite, and we wanted to take a respite anyway because there were some respite activities. I think people don't. I think when people talk about the equation, should we rest or should we push on, and the notion of being full of recoveries and therefore you're going to go into battle like powered up in a way you are not normally, but you're like, oh God, we're really low on recoveries. There's another thing that is kind of pushing people to take respites, which is good. We want them to take respites, which is that you want to pursue your downtime activities. So for instance, I built you'll see, I built a shrine, which was cool. I don't even know who the shrine is to. Narrative. What's that? But while we were doing that, Dale's character disappeared. And we're like, what happened? Where'd Dale's character go? Well, you'll find out where she went when you watch it. It was super fun. So it was the amount of amazing things that happened, the amount of really fucking, including, and I said this last stream, but I would have been okay with the idea that Draw Steel is just a dope ass new game and it requires new adventures and new heroes. That wouldn't have bothered me particularly. That makes sense, doesn't it? But the fact that you absolutely can use it to run a bog standard D20 fantasy adventure with all the same tropes and everything, and it feels the same, except it's fun. Except you're not spending 35% of your time just sitting there doing nothing at best. Oh, that's awesome. The Toucan Puffin, that's amazing. Non-major nerd, I'm doing great. Oh, that was you, Aldora Rising, yeah. I don't know what a baby girl is, but other than the obvious thing. Do I think modules like Keep on the Borderlands would work in Draw Steel? Absolutely. I do now. Now having played through the Delian Tomb, yep. 100%. In fact, I'm gonna go out on a limb. And I'm gonna say it's better. It's more. The game is more fun. The fantasy is the same. The tropes are the same. The way it feels, fighting monsters, all that stuff feels the same. But the actual physical game, I think, is literally more fun. Well, I think we're going to do that, Montage Maniac. It's just you might have to wait a while. So yeah, it was a fucking blast. We also had lots of meetings about our plans for the future. So we're planning on going to crowdfunding in December. That will be several months, knock on wood, that'll be several months after people have gotten their hardcovers in the Ajax edition. I mean, it's possible that people in like Australia or, certain islands in the middle of Canada will still be waiting for their Ajax edition, but the vast majority of people, depending on what ports are open and shit like that, will have already gotten all this stuff and will have had all their stuff for a while, which is, that's about the time of maximum heat is people get their stuff, they get to live with their stuff for just a couple of months, and then you want to go back to the anvil while the iron is hot. And we talked about and we talked about it more today, about the idea of a big adventure, a big Red Hand of Doom style adventure. Now, I'm on record as saying those big adventures should be a sometimes food, so stay tuned. And a big setting book, Omen's Land, which is what people think of when we talk about Vasloria. And then you put those two things together and you throw a bunch of really cool, unique tchotchkes and stuff in, handouts or whatnot. And then that's the Vasloria box set. Yep. And we already have ideas for how those are going to work. And as also part of the same crowdfunder, probably as an add-on, is the Encounters book. So it's book 1 is Heroes, book 2 is Monsters. Those are coming this year. And then, so part of the next crowdfunder is Encounters. And we have an idea of what's going to go in that book. All pre-made stuff to make the director's job super easy. Oh, thank God I can just grab this dungeon delve and drop it in. Oh, cool. Here's a unique combat puzzle I can drop in. Oh, look, here's a bunch of montages already done for me. Oh, thank fuck. Here's all these NPCs to negotiate with. And they're really like broadly useful, right? Negotiate with a noble, but they actually gave me a specific noble with a little bit of a backstory and here's some art for them. So I feel like I know who this person is. Oh my God, thank God. And so that's the crowdfunder we're planning on doing. Yeah. But also by the time we do that, we want you. So in other words, the crowdfunder is also going to be an ad for all the shit we've done this year, including the summoner will be available. Hopefully we don't know we can get all this stuff done. We are working on figuring out if we can get all this stuff done, but we're optimistic that we can get the summoner done, the beast heart done, a 32-page, booklet, whatever you want to call it, staple-bound book of just new ancestries, 3 relatively short adventures, 32 to 48 pages, which is a lot, by the way. Like a lot of classic adventures are much shorter than that. Yeah, so that's 2 classes, 3 adventures, a thing of ancestries, the Delian Tomb starter set, and the Fall of Blackbottom starter set. That's a lot. That's a lot. So we're going to go to crowdfunding saying we want to make these 3 things. We have already started on them. By the time we go to crowdfunding, we will have already been working on them for several months. Meanwhile, here's all this other stuff that's just in the store you can go buy now. It's been out for a while. And that is going to really plant a flag and show people like we are serious about this. This is a product line. And here's what happens. If you support us, we will support it. And yeah, there are crazier things that we would like to do at some point. Like we want to do an Equinox box set. Cause we have a really exciting vision for this kind of weird fantasy, metal hurlant, heavy metal kind of, fantasy world, very Conan-esque, but also weird fantasy. And that's Equinox. But even though that's really exciting, it's like we can't, if you go to the Discord, people are asking all the time about how shit in Vasloria works. And we need to answer those questions before we can go on to the crazy stuff. Yeah. Pancake Wizard, Beast Heart and Summoner, pet class party. Yeah. Are there plans to translate Draw Steel to other languages? We would not be the ones that make those plans. We're not the people to ask. The people to ask are people who in those countries who think that there's money to be made translating our book and getting their own art and publishing it themselves. That's why we opened the book. Anybody can translate the rules if they want to. The rules are open. Turning that translation into a product that people will buy is going to mean arting it yourself because you don't get our art for free. Actually, that's a point I want to make in the adventures thing. Stand by. Where was I just typing that? Sorry. Yeah, I don't know what Primeval Thule is. Argonautic. I think I know as much about Primeval Thule as you know about Equinox, but even knowing only that much, just based on what it sounds like, yeah, I would say Primeval, yeah, but more jungle and forest, and like it's because it's an elf. Equinox is an elf land, but my ideas of what Equinox is have been evolving as I've been inspired. I've been inspired by various pieces of art. There's a great Mark Zug piece that somebody shared on Blue Sky a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh my god, that is Equinox, and it's just this like alien, this green insect hunter man. And I'm like, oh fuck, that is so cool. And so we could pay Mark Zug, and we have, he did the cover of Kingdoms of Warfare, but, that's just ref. That art he did is just, it goes into the bucket of dope ass shit that, right? Grand Prix. I'm like, fuck. Oh yeah. My ghost shirt. Terror lizards. They're the best. Butter biscuit. Hopefully we get to go to Ix someday. Hopefully we get to go to Ix and we get to go to visit the land of the terror lizards. Stand by. Any plans? Stand by. Any plans? Plans. We have plans the way when you were 13 you plan on getting married. That's how we have plans. Any plans for non-fantasy related settings for the RPG? No, because I think eventually we'll go to the time. Eventually, in fact, in the next 3 years, hopefully, we'll go to the timescape. But I don't think of the time, but I think of the timescape as space fantasy, like John Berkey. Go look up John Berkey, not Berkeley. John Berkey spaceships, or a lot of the 70s idea of what the future was going to be like has nothing to do with science or plausibility. It's all fantasy. It's all fantasy. That stuff could never have existed. You can't really build John Berkey spaceships. They're impressionistic. Yeah. So I think we'll definitely, hey, what's up? What's up, Sam? We'll definitely go to other worlds and do other shit with spaceships and stuff. But as soon as you have things like FTL, that's fantasy. That's not science. That's the opposite of science. That's fuck science. Science says we can't have this. It's like, and we want it anyway. It's like laser swords. That's not science. Anyway. Well, I would say, I don't know 6. Whenever we talk about so here's the question. The question was, would Equinox come with new classes and ancestries? It would absolutely come with new ancestries. Whether it comes with new classes is down to whether or not we are inspired. And if we're not inspired, then we're not going to do it, because we don't want to be that company that tries to just, force round